I honestly did not think I'd have to make a second video regarding ARMS, but here I am. That's my oh-so-smooth way for me to tell you that this is a part 2 video, by the way. So if you want to see part 1 of me talking about the upcoming ARMS Smash presentation, you can click the screen to go to that video. But if you've already seen it, then thanks so much for watching. Some interesting stuff has come out since then, and I want to briefly touch on it. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm also generic, and let's get right into it. So if you've seen my last video, then you'll know that I, like many others, believe that Min Min will be our next Smash fighter. There was a lot of evidence supporting this idea there that I won't retread here, but there was one thing that I didn't cover last time that I'll talk about now, and that's this supposed leak that popped up over the past 2 weeks. It depicts Min Min after having won a match, doing her victory pose straight from ARMS. It raised a lot of questions initially, as at first glance it definitely looks plausible, but as is the case with all leaks, the debate over its legitimacy began. People believing it was real said that the model would have had to have either been ripped straight from ARMS' files or masterfully recreated, while the non-believers looked to the text and pointed out the inconsistency with it compared to other characters' victory screen text to say it's fake. Either way, there was nothing to really kill the leak definitively until now. When doing research for my previous video, I found this curious image of Giga Bowser's victory screen. Giga Bowser as a character is one you can't play as without hacking, and one that was certainly never designed to be playable in any form. But he still is playable nonetheless and can be loaded into matches. As he wasn't designed to be playable, he of course doesn't have any victory screens, and instead just T-poses with the camera zoomed out far away from him. If you were to create a leak based off of the post-battle victory screen, I think that this image would be where you start, since it's the emptiest you're likely to find the victory screen at all. So naturally, I compared the images side by side to find that they are one-to-one the exact same background. It would be a huge coincidence for these backgrounds to be exactly the same based off a random victory screen the developer took a picture of and then leaked. The leaker likely just took the image, cut out Giga Bowser in the text, cleaned it up, and then went to work with Min Min over the background. Does this hurt Min Min's chances? Not at all in my opinion. I still believe she's the most likely character out of any ARMS rep, but the leak itself is out of contention and should honestly just be forgotten about. But now let's move on to some far more credible stuff. You might have heard about this by now, but in case you haven't, 2 very prominent gaming insiders have come forward with some interesting news. Imran Khan, formerly of Game Informer, tweeted out that he was surprised Nintendo hadn't revealed the new ARMS fighter yet. Someone pitched the idea to him in response that they were holding off on sharing the news for ARMS 2, which he said wasn't the case. He then went on to say that he knew who the fighter was, he just didn't know why Nintendo was holding off on sharing the information. Then, over on Reset Era, someone suggested that Imran Khan should just reveal the gender of the character to us to drive speculation forward a bit more. Nate Drake, a fairly credible leaker who has talked about Smash in the past before and was even anti-Grinch, said that giving away the character's gender would make it too obvious who it was. People quickly speculated that perhaps this was a hint towards Helix, before he ended up stating that the fighter in fact wasn't Helix. This is very interesting, since the ARMS roster is fairly balanced in terms of gender with 8 guys, 6 girls, and 1 possibly genderless character. But there's 3 possible explanations I have to why it would be too obvious to reveal the gender. The first is that the character is another hero situation, as people have been speculating, and that the question of the ARMS character's gender is just simply answered with mixed. Saying that the ARMS fighter has multiple genders would be a dead giveaway that we are in fact getting multiple characters in one slot. This being the case also lines up with what some people have been hearing, in regards to a few names being heard around about the character, most notably with Springman, Ribbon Girl, and Min Min. The second possibility pertains to the most likely fighters. If you saw my last video, you'll know my top 4 most likely are Springman, Ribbon Girl, Min Min, and Twintel, and that this really isn't that uncommon a consensus. In the top 4, we have 3 girls and 1 guy, so if giving the gender away makes it too obvious, could that mean that we're in fact getting Springman as our ARMS fighter after all? It's possible, but I still honestly have my doubts about that. The third and final possibility is that the statement, "that would make it too obvious," is just meant to keep people's speculations alive and hopeful. Saying they're a male or female would take a lot of characters out of the equation no matter what. So saying that and revealing that information would just end most speculation as people make up their minds on who it is. So maybe Nate Drake just wants to keep people speculating and having fun with it for the last few days before we know the truth anyways. Whatever the answer is, we'll know soon enough, so I suppose it's not worth getting too into. But I am curious to hear other people's inputs and theories anyway. Before we go, I want to talk about 2 smaller things that are worth pointing out. The Smash Guy, as well as David Crane over on Twitter, pointed out something interesting about the thumbnail chosen for the Sakurai ARMS presentation. And that's that the background swirly pattern thing is actually used for Springman, Springtron, and Max Brass on the ARMS character select screen. Could this be an intentional hint? Or is it just a pattern they chose to fill the space? Are we actually getting Max Brass after all this speculation, not even including him? Or are we just going to end up with Springman? I'm not going to lean too heavily into this theory, but it's not completely without merit, as you could kind of look at the original thumbnail for the Byleth presentation and claim that this was a hint towards 3 houses. The other thing I want to point out is a smaller thing to the release dates of future characters. Cool0210 on Twitter pointed out that Smash has a very consistent schedule when it comes to releasing DLC characters, which always falls on a Tuesday or Wednesday. Piranha Plant, Hero, and Byleth all released on Tuesdays, while Joker, Banjo, and Terry all released on Wednesdays. Going back even further, this pattern holds up, as Mewtwo and Cloud both were released into Smash 4 on Tuesdays, while Corrin and Bayonetta were both released together on a Wednesday. The only outlier here is Ryu, Roy, and Lucas, who all were released together on the Monday before E3 in 2015. The ARMS character will likely be an outlier as well, as they release on this Monday after the presentation, but it should be noted that future characters will most likely only release on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And that's all there is for me to really talk about in this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like it and subscribe for more content in the future. And thank you so much for watching. I really did not expect my last video to do so well and was really happy to see all the engagement with it, so thanks a lot for the support, especially to those of you who hit that subscribe button, which, if you haven't, you totally should. Anyways, I'm also Generic, and I'll catch you next time.